you should not charge luxury prices for non-luxury services. Hey beautiful people, welcome to another video. Welcome back if you were our subscriber, and welcome if you are new. On this channel we like to create content all about hair. We do deep dives into the hair and beauty industry. I also give you insights into my locks journey. If you're interested in that, I would hit the subscribe button, you won't regret it. Today I'm actually really excited to talk about this topic. I think from a UK perspective it's actually very difficult to find enough conversation online about this. I'll put in some videos in the description where I found some really good creators that kind of broke it down from a UK perspective, but I think we could do more, and I'm hoping this video can contribute to that discussion. Of course, leave your thoughts in the comments and I will do my best to engage, and let's just hop straight into it. Now, this is a growing issue in the UK beauty industry, and it is the rise, and I guess still the rise, of Instagram hairstylists.
I am never going to an Instagram hairstylist again. And if I go to anyone, it's strictly salon only. No house visits, no nothing. You see how I'm in my natural hair? Black is beautiful, love my natural hair. Do you know what I was meant to be in? I was meant to be in black bust down French curls. I was meant to be in it 7 days ago. I never do last minute bookings. I've always booked someone weeks in advance. And when I find someone, I've done it after hours of looking, vetting, sending to my friends. I never book on a whim. Anyways, last weekend, someone was meant to do my hair, and to get to them, it was basically 2 hours. I was even worried about not making my train, so I ordered an Uber to the train station. I'm at the train station now. My train is in 4 minutes. What do I get? Hey hon, someone's come up today. Can you do Monday instead? Firstly, so I'm now going to take annual leave for you to do my hair, number one. Number two, could you have not sent it to me an hour before? Why are you doing it last minute? I could have stayed at home. Anyways, at least she was nice. I said to her, like, please refund me my deposit and the cost for the train ticket. And she did. But even then, it's like the Uber, the bus I had to get back home. You know, I had to pay for that. I called everyone in my city or borough, whatever, the one next to me, the one there. It was Saturday. No one. I called 10 people. I sat at that station in disbelief, calling everyone I could see on Google Maps. No one had availability. You know, as I was like, what if I report you to HMRC now? What's going to happen? In another situation, I've booked someone weeks in advance. I was looking for this person, right? I think the day before, like, I've messaged them to double check or ask for an address. No, I think it was a few days before or the day before, I don't remember. Anyways, they messaged me saying like, hey hon, like, unfortunately I can't do your hair because I've injured my finger. And fair enough, right? I'm not saying hairstylists can never injure their finger, but like, of all injuries that you have, you've injured your finger. I said to her, I've made a formal booking with you, I've sent a deposit. Why did you not message me to tell me that it's not happening? Like, why have you waited for me to message you? Obviously I didn't say it as rude because I was nice on time. She was like, oh, I posted it on my Instagram story. I told everyone I had a finger injury. I didn't get you from Instagram. I don't follow you on Instagram. I got your number. I've messaged you for your number. And it's like the lack of professionalism or just business etiquette. You have bookings, you've injured your finger, and you post on your Instagram story. And it's not even like Instagram stories is 24 hours where I can see the story. Like, if I don't see it on that day, it's gone. And I don't use Instagram. I'm just like you have to care. You don't care about your custody. Anyways, going forward, salon only. I have called you. None of this deposit stuff, like, it's done. It's actually done. Unless it's like a proper professional, like, hairdresser service, like, it's done. For me, cancelling, technically, it's not that deep, but it's always the day before. It's always the day of. Like, I was at the train. Like, if I had stood up, I would have been on the train to an hour and a half journey. Like, I had to beg train line to give me a refund. Anyways, in the name of knowing peace, there's no, oh, let me try, I'm exempt, let me try the next person. I've learned my lesson. God wanted me to learn something. I've learned something today, yesterday, and forever.
So while social media has made it really accessible for us to find hair and beauty professionals, but specifically today we're talking about the hair professional, I think it's still brought a lot of issues that I think we really need to try and find a solution to as a community. And I think it's almost getting to the point where I'm kind of worried as well about the future of the Instagram hairstylist. I want the best for them, and as someone who is in the hair industry, I am a IAT certified hair practitioner. So IAT stands for International Association of Trichologists, and I've also been a loctician. I actually stopped doing people's locks a while back now, and that's another thing I'll get onto, that whole thing of realizing when something is not for you, that's okay, that's fine. And I have also sold hair products, so I've kind of been here, there, everywhere, and I've also of course been a consumer. I understand, I guess, the nuances in a way. Let's take it back a few years. Let's take it back specifically to the pandemic. There was Instagram hairstylists in this country pre-pandemic, but I definitely think there was a rise of Instagram hairstylists around the pandemic era. Now, during this time when salons were closed, a lot of hairstylists took to social media to market their services, which is not a bad thing. Do with what you have and you work with what you have. And what started as a convenient way to essentially find a hairstylist has now turned into a full-blown experience, one that can give you PTSD if you've had a really bad experience, one that can give you a lot of anxiety because you don't really know what you're going to get, and numbers aren't any indicator of them being a good hairstylist. So one of the biggest issues is prices, prices, prices. Stylists are charging more. As I said, I was a loctician, and I can understand, I guess, from that perspective that you have to find a middle ground between pricing competitively, pricing fairly, pricing your worth as a stylist. But I just think we've come to the point now where the prices are way too high and everyone just wants to make money. And I completely get that. I think the economy is in a really interesting space. The cost of living is really costing to live. Yeah, it's costing a lot of money to live. But I just don't know how much the consumer or customer can take. I just don't know. So for me, for example, I tried to charge really fairly based on what the market rate was, but I also understood that because I was a new loctician, a new service provider, I couldn't charge established prices. So I actually went out of my way to lower my prices according to my skill level, and then having the plan or the idea to slightly bump up prices that I have with inflation every year, and then also just in general when I felt that my skill was improving. I think you should charge your skill level. That's one thing I think as a stylist you should do. You should not charge luxury prices for non-luxury services. If you're not providing that customer service, what are you charging the customer for? Is it just your skill? What makes your skill so luxury about it? Do you think about the hair health of the customer? Do you recommend or give extra products that the customer could use? What do you give to the customer for them to use and utilize even way past their appointment? What do you do? And I'm just asking this really candidly because for me, as someone who came from the trichology industry, understood the science of hair, understood how hair works, I always made sure to give my clients an actual breakdown of the right things to do aftercare wise, you know, how to look after your locks after you leave my chair, what should you do if such and such occurs with your hair, what products are recommended, all of these things that I think are really important things, and you can't miss those things out as a hairstylist because you want the customer to maintain the quality of work that you've just done, right? Editing Jessica here. I just want to make it really clear that when I'm giving all of my examples about what I did as a loctician when I was still taking clients and how I moved during that time, it's not because I'm trying to say that I was better and I was the perfect hairstylist. I don't even think the perfect hairstylist actually exists. Everyone is not going to be the best business person or the most perfect business person, but I just went out of my way to try and make sure that whenever I was doing something, I put the customer's needs first and not always my own. And obviously that goes without saying, if I'm completely burnt out or if I at one point ever felt like I was, you know, my health was affected or my safety, that's a different story. I'm gonna do what I need to do to make sure that I'm okay. But when it came to things like pricing, my policies, and as well as that, just generally interacting with potential customers and customer service, I always made that a priority. So I just thought I'd be really clear on that because we're not gonna do anything of the such of thinking that I was trying to say in this video that, oh my gosh, yeah, I was better than everyone. No, we don't do that around here. I definitely made mistakes. I'm not even saying that I was the most perfect person. I just did my best. That's all I did, my very best. And I always put the customer first, and it's unfortunate that I stopped actually taking clients, but obviously I stopped for personal reasons, and I just realized it's okay to stop, and that's fine. So without further ado, let's get back to the video. Not really thinking about the hair health is such a mismatch here, and I think that's one thing that I just find hairstylists completely miss out on. Not all of them, before you cook me in the comments, some of you are good, but not all of you. So just let's keep it real. And that leads me on to another thing that I think we can, or stylists can do absolutely better on. It's the texturism, the high level of texturism. You know, when you go and you want to do or get a service done by a hairstylist and they start telling you, oh, your hair's too thick, oh, your hair's too tough, oh, I can't do that hairstyle, it's not going to turn out the same because your hair texture is not the same as what I usually work with, and that's giving heavy texturism, and it's actually very disappointing when you think about it. And I think there's a whole issue, one, charging depending on hair texture just sounds absolutely insane if you ask me. I think it's isolating. For example, I am, quote unquote, if we look at the scale, I am a 4C babe. Some days I'm 4D, depends on who you ask. But I don't think to myself, oh, because of the hair that God has given me, because of the hair that I have been born with, I need to accept the fact that stylists should charge me more because my hair is tough or my hair is not the same hair texture as others. It really makes me uncomfortable more than anything, because it means that I understand that within society my hair texture is not desired, but if we take it another level, now my hair texture is clearly not desired by the people that can even do hair. That's mad. That's so mad. That's so crazy. Another thing is strict late fees. You know, if you're 10 minutes late, £10 more. If 20 minutes late, £15 more. If you're so and so minutes late, I'm going to cancel your appointment and I'm going to keep your deposit. Don't get on to me. I accept that deposits should be a thing. I accept that deposits kind of help both sides. But I think if you're going to enforce strict late fees for the customer, if you're late as a stylist, give some of the money back to the customer. Maybe take some money off the final charge. Don't always be hungry for the money. Damn. Out of hours appointments blows my mind. Blows my mind for several reasons, because you know what I was saying before about pricing competitively, pricing fairly. A lot of these hairstylists that are the ones that have blown, quote unquote, that have the so 1,000 followers and they've done this influencer's hair, that influencer's hair, they're popping. Yeah, they're popping and they know. Their lip gloss is popping and they know. I love them. Continue to win, sis. But when you start saying that out of hours appointments, i.e. after 5 p.m. on a weekday and also after 5 p.m. on a weekend, incur an extra charge, what are we doing here? You're charging people a mad price and then you're charging people out of hours fees as an extra. I just don't think it's practical. And I think it's really interesting because when I was thinking about this and kind of thinking about how I felt, a lot of these luxury hairstylists, especially the ones on Instagram, your market, your clientele is actually the standard 9 to 5 babe, the corporate babe who works, or the babe who just has so many other responsibilities, so many other priorities. And you expect them to come during standard working hours to do their hair. Now, for some it's easy. If you work from home, you can blag it, you can make it work. But for others, it just doesn't work like that. And it just makes it really unreasonable if you add on all of those extra fees. And I just don't know how that makes finding a good hairstylist accessible, for one, and also worth the hassle. And I know that during the pandemic, a lot of people ended up teaching themselves how to do their favorite hairstyles and really sat down and learnt the process. And honestly, claps to you, because when I look at the market and I look at how hairstylists are treating potential customers and the pricing, I just don't know how you can justify spending so much. Now, it's different if you want to spend so much money on a hair service because you like that hairstylist and you know they've done what they need to do. Cool, fair enough. Traditional hair salons are on the rise. People like using salons more, and I don't blame them. You can walk into a salon sometimes and just get your treatment done and walk out. You don't have to book an appointment a month in advance, wait for slots to release at a certain time of the month. You don't have to go through all of these hoops to get something booked when it comes to a salon, or most salons, which is quite nice. It's nice to have that. But I just think hairstylists are so strict that I think it really cancels out who you can get as a customer. And that's fine. Maybe someone watching this who's a hairstylist will tell me in the comments that, you know what, I'm okay with only having like 3% of the population come to me, or whatever the case is. Yeah, fine. But you really have to think about whether what you're doing is actually even ethical. But if you're okay with that, cool.
Okay, I'm gonna be so real. Yeah, some of these businesses actually need to be studied, because it's such a first world problem. Yeah. Okay, I've literally had 2 bad experiences now from 2 different hairstylists, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, obviously people always say like, why you always come into the internet, like, obviously you're putting these hair brands, you're putting them down, and maybe they're having an off day, like, things can happen, you know, maybe they're just starting out, they don't know what they're doing, and it takes time. But when it's those brands, yeah, that's like they've been here for time and they're still not getting it right, it's just like, if you don't know how to do customer service, one, if you don't know how to keep to the policies that you've put out, which are a lot, 2, then you shouldn't be having a business. Like, I'm actually not even trying to be rude here, but I'm just annoyed. Actually, be honest, do you know any one of your friends who have not had a bad experience with a stylist or anything like that? And you're probably thinking, oh, not another story. Oh, not another person coming and talking and giving their bad experiences. But guys, it happens too often. That's why people are literally coming on this app. I'm going to pop an email to the company, to the business, or I will just resolve it and we move on. I'm not going to come on here and do a whole story time of my bad experiences and name and shame a brand. But I'm just being honest, like, I'm actually just tired of it. And people just need to start acting normal, because people actually messing up. Sorry, I'm not speaking. People are actually messing up with people's schedules. People are messing up. We have a plan for things, like, and now it's getting messed up because you don't want to get it right. Like, okay, that's bullshit. Because yeah, and now it's just getting messed up. So yeah, that's just my little rant. And yeah, have a nice day. Have a nice day.
Unprofessional behaviour and poor customer service is such a contentious topic, and a lot of the TikToks I have seen have all been about the unprofessionalism, the lack of customer service, the delays in said service. Get a wig stylist and they're asking you to bring your wig 48 hours before the appointment. They need to do X, Y and Z, and if you don't bring it by this deadline, they can't do your hair. And then when you do bring it on time, they don't even fulfill their side of the service, and then they tell you there's been delays, or they just straight up steal the wig. And I think if anything, it actually makes me kind of worried, because is this the future of customer service? Surely it can't be the future of customer service. Does all of this poor customer service lead to loss of deposit, no remorse from the stylist, and the customer really takes a hit? But it's not just the clients who are struggling. Most Instagram stylists are under-resourced, untrained, which leads to issues with hair health. They're often forced to work from home, and renting a salon space in this country is ridiculous amounts of money. People are doing hair in their kitchens. People are doing hair in living rooms that are very unclean. People are doing hair in their bedrooms, which are also very unclean, very unhygienic. All of that in combination with a lack of training really creates a difficult situation for stylists. And I empathize with all the stylists start from the bottom, end up having to really just bug it out, right? And I don't think that is a problem. Keep doing you, but look after your space. That's the space that customers come into. Make sure it's clean. Make sure you provide, for example, refreshments. Make sure that the customer, if they are, coming to the appointment and they want to do some work, make sure there's a space for them to do so if they need to do so. All of these things are really important, and I just feel some stylists might be constrained, and it might mean that because of that they can't provide good service. So I also see both sides of the coin, and I get that there's a tension there, but something needs to change. So another issue is the lack of regulation in the UK hairstylist space. So in the UK, hairstyling is really unregulated, so that anyone can set up shop, which is not a bad thing. Be the entrepreneur, be the boss babe, be whoever you want to be. Just do it the right way. Problem with hairstylists being untrained and also the industry being super unregulated, you have loads of serious consequences for clients, including damages to the hair and scalp. I've seen horror stories of people losing their hair because of hairstylists. Neglect, essentially, not understanding when they're doing something too tight. It's not always about the aesthetics. Sometimes it's actually about the hair health itself, making sure that you're doing the style not to sacrifice the health of the hair and scalp, but actually to just make sure that that person can still have their hair when they take out the hairstyle. It's really sad. So there's clearly a need for licensing and mandatory training, but they're not enforced, and clients and stylists kind of end up in really vulnerable positions. For example, I think it's really important as a stylist that you have liability insurance. Get liability insurance, look up the importance of it, understand why you should have it, get it. Getting your hair done is a deeply personal and cultural activity. It's something that dates back thousands of years for Black women specifically. When you're getting your hair done when you were younger and you were sitting there in a chair or on the floor and you were getting your hair done by a woman you trust in your life, that trust is not there with the Instagram hairstylists of today. You can't tell me that the trust is there. And that's what I mean by it's such a deeply cultural and personal moment for Black women. And the fact that we've come to this point and it's almost as if we can't even trust people that even have said skill to do our hair properly, because who knows, they might do something too tight, they might not detangle our hair properly, they might fry, lay, dye our hair to the side and just think that because it looks good, it's great, but their hair is completely finished. They might have heat damage in the end, they might have their edges, starting to recede, traction alopecia because of constant pulling. There's so many issues, and for such a deeply personal and cultural cultural experience that we have. It's so sad that a lot of us can't even trust the very people that have the skill to do hair anymore. It's really sad. What was once a community-centered experience is now a transaction, and it has negative effects, this transaction. You don't know what you're going to get on the day. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? I personally think on the client side, do your research. Please do your research before booking with someone. Social media following does not equal to a good hairstylist. Social media following is barely scratching the surface of what makes a good hairstylist. Yes, they have social capital. Yes, they have a lot of people following them. Yes, they have done your favorite influencer's hair. But let me tell you something, just because they've done your favorite influencer's hair doesn't mean that they will do your hair to the same level. Don't cook me, but it's the truth. Just because they've done an influencer's hair and it's sensational, you can really tell they did attention to detail and this, that, and the third. You know why they did the influencer's hair good, right? Because they know that they're an influencer. They know the social capital that that influencer has. But when someone sits in their chair that doesn't have the same social capital as an influencer, it's very unlikely that you're going to get the same level or quality of service that you paid for. And it's really sad. So really think about that. Try and find real reviews as well, which I think is super important. Also try and find real examples of their hair that doesn't have a filter on it, for goodness sake. I really hate the use of filters, but that's a story for another day. Try and find someone that doesn't use filters on their work to display their work on Instagram. And for hairstylists, I haven't forgotten about you. It's time to focus on professionalism and customer service. Please focus on those two things. Create clear and fair policies and a commitment to the client's well-being. Actually research and give recommendations on your client's hair that can actually help their hair health. Don't just think about the aesthetics. Let's put it like this. Thinking about your client's well-being and having clear and fair policies as well in your booking process can really take you a long way than being someone who just doesn't really care. I think if we try to understand both sides of this issue, we can push for a better, more professional experience for everyone involved. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, both from the customer side and maybe even the hairstylist side. Drop them in the comments below. I will do my best to reply. I will catch you in my next video. Bye.